Okay,
Syed, go
the
ahead.
debate is on the land of Fadak, and inshallah we're going to have a discussion about the property of Az-Zahra, salamullahi alayha. My argument that I'm going to be presenting is that this land was the property of the daughter of the Prophet. My argument is going to be that Abu Bakr stole this land, and my argument is going to be that Abu Bakr went against the Quran, went against the Prophet, lied upon the Prophet, and created a narration that doesn't even exist, and basically usurp the land of the daughter of the Prophet. That's going to be my argument. That's going to be my position. So that's my claim as the claimant, that Abu Bakr stole the land of the daughter of the Prophet. The land is known as Fadak. It was a land that was gifted to Rasulullah, that comes under Mali Fay and not Mali Ghanima, because no horses or camels were ridden to fight for the property. It was given to the Prophet as a gift, meaning that he is the sole owner of this. So inshallah, that's going to be my mawqif, that's going to be my topic. I'm assuming that he's going to come and try and defend Abu Bakr, but that's fine. He can try and do that as much as he wants. Anybody that comes against the Ahlul Bayt is going to lose. So that's my opening statement, that I am going to be looking at Fadak. I'm going to be looking at how the Prophet attained Fadak, how it was his property during his lifetime and what he did with it during his lifetime. And I'm going to prove that Abu Bakr stole this land from the daughter of the Prophet, and then on top of that went against the Quran, went against the Prophet and lied upon the Prophet. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam's views upon what Abu Bakr and Umar said and did as well. So that's my point. So I'm going to start off by saying, so Fadak was a piece of land that was owned by the Jews of Bani Nadir. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi gave them a choice. They didn't want to fight the Prophet, so they said that we're not going to engage into a battle with you, Ya Rasulullah. Instead, what we're going to do is we are going to gift you a land known as Fadak. So this land was given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi. Therefore, it does not come under Mali Ghanima. It comes under Mali Fay. The difference, for those who don't know, Mali Ghanima is that land that the Muslims fought for, rode a camel or a horse over, and acquired that land through fighting. Whereas Mali Fay is that land that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states within the glorious Quran about this as well, that Ghanima is a property in which you had worked to get it and used horses and rode, while Fay is that property in which you didn't have to make efforts to attain it. So that is Tafsir Kabir, volume 8, page 125. So now that we know that Mali Fay and Mali Ghanima, what the differences are between the two, and we understand that Fadak is Mali Fay because the Prophet or the Muslims didn't fight over it, this shows that Mali Fay is the sole property of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi. No Muslim has a right over this, and this is the Prophet's own personal property to do with as he wishes. That same Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi, that when this verse was revealed, chapter 59 verse 6, what Allah has bestowed on his messenger, from them for this you made no expedition with, neither cavalry, horses or camels, but Allah gives power to his messenger over any he pleases, and Allah has power over all things. Tafsir Kabir, Fakhruddin al-Razi, volume 10, page 506. What does it state about Surah Hashr, which is chapter 59 verse 6? That this verse was revealed with regards to Fadak, which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi acquired without fighting. So that's it for my opening statement, that this is the property of the Prophet. What he did with it is what I'm going to be discussing later on. However, right now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated in the Quran the differences between the two properties. And you can even admit that Fadak was a land that was gifted to the Prophet. It was not something that the Prophet acquired via fighting. Therefore, this is the land that is the sole property of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you very much, Syed. Deniz, would you like to proceed with your opening statement?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد, we are here today to discuss a significant issue with sincerity and, inshallah, academic rigor. I would like to first and foremost remind everyone of the agreed upon framework for this debate. Firstly, all evidence presented must be from the Holy Quran, authentic hadith as classified Sahih or Hasan, and the consensus, the ijma of the Ummah. And it is crucial that all hadith are cited with their chains and original sources as discussed in the contract. Secondarily, interpretations, tafsir of the Quran must be restricted to those from the first 3 generations, again, as per the contract. Personal opinions or later scholars' views cannot be presented as evidence. Finally, the purpose of this debate is to establish truth against one another and eradicate any doubt. It is not an exercise in polemics or emotional arguments, but a sincere search for clarity based upon authentic sources. I ask and hope that we can both adhere to these principles. Now, as my interlocutor explained briefly, the historical background of Fadak, we must also explain some more things. Indeed, as he said, it was a piece of land acquired by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was obtained indeed without any direct battle. It was not distributed as a war booty, but instead under the direct management of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During his lifetime, it was used to support public welfare and especially the needs of the Ummah, including orphans, widows, and travelers. After the Prophet ﷺ passed away, Fadak was treated in line with his instructions that all property left by the Prophets is a sadaqah and not inheritable wealth. This practice was upheld by Abu Bakr during his caliphate and acted on explicit guidance from the Prophet ﷺ. This understanding forms the foundation of how we, Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, view this status. It was not a personal property to be gifted or inherited, but it was a trust for the benefit of the Ummah. Now, I would like to present a key principle within the tradition. As stated earlier, the Prophet ﷺ clearly stated, both in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, that we, the Prophets, do not leave inheritance, and whatever we leave behind is charity. This hadith is mutawatir, meaning that it has been narrated by multiple trustworthy chains, leaving no doubt about the authenticity. This principle is foundational in Sunni understanding and directly impacts the debate on Fadak. Prophets do not leave any material inheritance. Instead, their property is used as a trust for the Ummah. You can find this hadith, it's hadith number 3093 in Sahih Bukhari and 1757 in Sahih Muslim. Now, if we check what the scholars say about this, we see that Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he declares the hadith mutawatir and widely accepted without any dispute. Similarly, Imam al-Nawawi, he affirms that the hadith is authentic and establishes the principle that prophets do not leave any material inheritance. So, this principle was not a matter of an opinion of one individual. Instead, it was a command of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was understood and accepted by the Sahaba, including Abu Bakr, who implemented it faithfully. To proceed meaningfully, I request that the claimant provide a clear and explicit evidence that, first, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gifted the land to Fatima, may Allah be pleased with her, during his lifetime, and secondarily, that this gift was documented, established, and undisputed in reliable sources. Furthermore, any evidence presented must meet the agreed upon standards of authenticity and context. Without such evidence, this claim remains speculative. I look forward to hearing the evidence from the claimant and addressing it in the spirit of academic inquiry and mutual respect.
Your time's done, brother. Your time's done. Okay, so you made three statements. Inshallah, I'm going to address all three of them. The first one is you lied. You said all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah. You didn't give any proof for that. Nowhere did you prove that everything that the Prophet leaves is sadaqah. Second, you mentioned inheritance. Did I mention inheritance? In my opening statement, 68 people are in this live. Can anybody just attest to the fact that did I mention inheritance at all? I said this was the sole property of the Prophet, to do with what he wanted. That's all I said. Then he came and he said that the prophets don't leave inheritance. Okay, who mentioned inheritance? I didn't mention inheritance. Inheritance hasn't even been brought up in the discussion yet. So I'm going to ignore that part, because inheritance, if you want to discuss it, we can discuss inheritance later on. But right now, I am not mentioning inheritance. Therefore, you've jumped the gun. You mentioned inheritance. I didn't mention inheritance. Therefore, Fadak is not under the discussion of inheritance at the moment. So the first lie that you said was everything that the Prophet leave is sadaqah, yes? You need to give an evidence for that. You need to, and also you said that it needs to be something that is Hasan and Sahih, yes? So I need to see the chain of this. I need to see who said this and how many narrators are there of this narration, because I'm pretty sure there's only one kadhab that actually said this. So inshallah we can discuss that. Then you asked me a question, prove that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi. Of course, no problem. I've got the Quranic reference here that I can prove to you that Fadak was gifted to the holy daughter of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alaihi. No problem at all. So we look in the Holy Quran, which is Surah Isra, which is chapter 17, verse 26, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and render to the kindred their due rights. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated this in the Quran in chapter 17, verse 26, we now look at the commentary of this holy verse and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying when he said, and render to the kindred their due rights. 1726, Surah Isra. We look at Tafsir Dur al-Manthur, volume 4, page 177. What does it state? It states that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abdullah ibn Abbas narrate that when this verse relating to giving rights to kindred was revealed, the Holy Prophet called Fatima salamullahi alayha and gifted her the land of Fadak. So straight away, you asked for proof that the Prophet gifted this land to Fatima during his lifetime because you claim that he didn't give it to anybody. Here you go. Tafsir Dur al-Mansur, volume 4, page 177. I have the scan as well. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abdullah ibn Abbas. I believe they were those who were around the Prophet at the time. Yes, so it goes within your terms and conditions. That when this verse was revealed about giving rights to the kindred, the Prophet called a Zahra and gifted her the land of Fadak. We look at Tafsir al-Quran al-A'zam by Ibn Kathir. He also states in there that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said that when this verse of chapter 17 verse 26 was revealed, the Holy Messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi called Fatima and gifted her the land of Fadak. Asbab al-Nuzul under 1726 and also Kanzul A'mal volume 2 page 158 both state the same thing. We look at Shawaid al-Tanzil, volume 1, page 570. Ibn Abbas said that the Holy Prophet gifted the land of Fadak to Fatima when this verse was revealed. Therefore, I have given Dur al-Mansur, I have given Tafsir ibn Kathir, I have given Kanzul A'mal, I have given Asbab al-Nuzul, and I have given Shawaid al-Tanzil. 5 Ahl Sunnat references here that prove that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet when the Quran in chapter 17 verse 26 was revealed. Okay, brother? There you go. So you asked for proof. I've given you proof. Now you come back and I want you to address the first lie that you made, that all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah. That's the first thing I need you to explain to me. Then we can carry on. So you said the Prophet didn't gift this land to anybody. I've given you 5 Sunni tafsir and hadith stating by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Ibn Abbas that this land was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. Aja putta raja.
Okay, so the claimant first brings up some evidences, as he says, from Al-Dur al-Manthur by Imam Suyudi. But I would like to remind the brother that in Article 15 of our conditions, that tafsir can only be from the 3 virtuous generations, namely Sahaba, Tabi'in, and Tabi wa Tabi'in. So now I will not admit this as any evidence on your behalf because this is not as per the conditions. Then you asked for the chain of narration from the hadiths that I mentioned. No problem for that. The chain for the hadith in Sahih Bukhari is obviously through Imam al-Bukhari, then Abdullah ibn Yusuf and Tennisi, then Malik ibn Anas, ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, and then Malik ibn Aus ibn al-Hadatan through Umar ibn al-Khattab. And then the chain in Sahih Muslim starts from Imam Muslim, then Yahya ibn Yahya at-Taymi, and then Malik ibn Abbas. And then similarly, as mentioned before that. Now, after having addressed these claims on your behalf, I will continue with what I wanted to say myself. Now, Abu Bakr, as the first Khalif, was entrusted with upholding the teachings and practices of the Prophet ﷺ, and his decisions were rooted in the deep adherence to Sharia, his taqwa, and loyalty to the command of Allah and His Messenger ﷺ. Abu Bakr obviously did not act on personal judgment in the case of Fadak. Rather, he upheld the explicit instructions of the Prophet ﷺ. His decision was consistent with the early mentioned statements of the Prophet that we, the Prophets, do not leave inheritance. Whatever we leave behind is charity. Furthermore, Abu Bakr acted in consultation with the Sahaba, demonstrating their collective agreement on the matter. His righteousness and integrity is undisputed, even by his contemporaries, including Lady Fatima, who, though initially saddened, ultimately accepted this decision. You can read this in Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, volume 5, page 252. The Prophet ﷺ clarified that all wealth or property left by the Prophets is a trust for the Ummah. This principle applied directly to the land, as the Prophet ﷺ said, "Whatever I leave after my expenses for my family and maintenance of my workers is charity." This can be found in Sahih Muslim, Hadith 1758. The chain is through Imam Muslim, then Yahya ibn Yahya at-Tamimi, then Malik ibn Anas, then Ibn Shihab ad-Duri, Urwa ibn az-Zubair, and then Aisha bint Abu Bakr. Now, during the Prophet's lifetime, ﷺ, Fadak was used to support public welfare, including providing for orphans, widows, and the poor. It was never treated as his private property to be gifted or inherited. Abu Bakr's role was to ensure the continuation of this practice as a trust in sadaqah and not as personal ownership. His actions reflected that directly. And it was an application of the Prophet ﷺ's instruction and a commitment to safeguard the collective rights of the Ummah. Now, to summarize, Abu Bakr...
Okay.
Sorry?
Time. Look at the time, it's 7:30.
No, no, still have 1 minute. Still have 1 minute. Continue.
Okay, go on, carry on.
Now, to summarize, Abu Bakr acted in full compliance with the explicit guidance of the Prophet ﷺ and the collective understanding of the Sahaba. Fadak was managed as a public trust in line with the instructions of the Prophet ﷺ and not as a personal property to be gifted or inherited, and any evidence to the contrary must meet the standards of authenticity and context, which I am yet to see. I now respectfully await the claimant's evidence and will address it accordingly.
Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman
Time
ar-Rahim.
is up. Time is up.
Thank you, Ayman.
Khalas, go
So
ahead.
you
Do
asked me
next.
for proof to show you that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet during his lifetime. I gave you 5 references. You rejected one of them. And what about the other 4? So you didn't touch upon that. You said the Prophet didn't gift Fadak to anybody during his lifetime. I proved you wrong by showing you 5 Sunni narrations that the Prophet gifted Fadak to Fatima. You said that you wanted it from the first 3 generations. Ibn Abbas is who? Abu Sayyid al-Khudri is who? Are these guys not from the first generation? Or are they just lying? So even though this has been narrated in Tafsir Durr al-Mansur, you don't want to accept Tafsir Durr al-Mansur? Okay, that's fine. But what about accepting Tafsir ibn Kathir? What about accepting Asbab al-Nazul? What about accepting Kanzul al-A'mal? What about accepting Shawaid al-Tanzil? So the other 4 references that I gave you, you didn't even comment on them. Now, you said that it has to be from the first 3 generations. Can you tell me which tafsir was written by the first 3 generations, please? I'll wait for that, yeah? That's my first question to you. Which tafsir was written by the first 3 generations? So that's the first thing I want you to give me. Second, I proved to you that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet. You need to now come and refute me, and show me that the Prophet didn't gift the land to his daughter, because I showed you that it did. Secondly, you believe this hadith is mutawatir, yes? The one where Abu Bakr is saying that the Prophet is saying that we don't leave anything, everything that we leave is charity. Okay. So did Bibi Fatima not believe in this hadith? Did the holy daughter of the Prophet not know this hadith? Did Aisha not know this hadith? Zahra remained angry at Abu Bakr despite the fact that he said this. And when Abu Bakr said prophets don't leave inheritance, Bibi Fatima salamullah alayha countered that. So lying about a hadith that's mutawatir when it isn't, that's not acceptable. So I'm going to give you one more chance now to prove to me that the Prophet said, we prophets do not leave inheritance. That's my second question to you. Because we can always come on to inheritance, but my argument isn't inheritance at the moment, okay? So, the fact that you lied about the fact that the Prophet didn't gift this to anybody, I proved to you that he did. Then you said, prove to me that the Prophet gifted it to Fatima. I proved it to you from the Quran in 1726. I never mentioned inheritance, so jump the gun. I asked you to show me proof that the Prophet said that we prophets don't leave inheritance, or that whatever we leave is for sadaqah. I don't see the narration here. I don't see any references. You just said it's been narrated by Omar, and then you mentioned Abu Bakr, and then you mentioned Bukhari and Muslim. That's it. So I need a clear-cut narration so I can scrutinize it, because I know for a fact that there's only one narrator of this hadith. And that one narrator is a liar in himself. So inshallah, we'll come to that as well. So I've just proved that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet during his lifetime. So we can see here, for example, let's see what Abu Bakr said. So Abu Bakr's objection to the holy daughter of the Prophet was what? His objection was, if you claim that this land is yours, give me proof. Can you show me what proof is given in inheritance, brother? When somebody claims inheritance, has anybody ever asked for witnesses in inheritance? Has that ever been done before in history? Prove to me that your dad was your dad. Is this the debate that's happening? So you failed to show me that the Prophet said all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah. You said that it was mutawatir, but Fatima said that this doesn't exist. And this hadith is a lie. Aisha also said this hadith was a lie. And I can show you a list of people who said that this was a lie. Prove to me that the Prophet didn't gift it to Fatima. That's my question to you. And then also, which tafsir was written by the first three generations? Because you said...
1 minute left.
Okay, brother. You said that we can only accept tafsir written by the first three generations. So I want to know which of the first three generations have written a tafsir. Can you name those tafsir for me, please? And again, I ask you for the second time, show me where the Prophet said all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah. Because the Prophet didn't leave Fadak. He already gifted it to the Prophet's daughter. He already gifted it to her. So it's not about this. So you saying that all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah, this doesn't come under sadaqah. She already owns the property in his lifetime. She was the owner. So the Prophet didn't leave Fadak to anybody. He gave it to his daughter during his lifetime and she had it in her possession. Abu Bakr came and stole it. So that's the difference.
Time.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Syed, Deniz. So please,
Okay,
we need to...
thank you.
Sorry, just give me... your time is stopped, don't worry. We need the evidence. We need to give him the evidence as he asked you. And please, Syed, if he asks you any question, please, you have to show him the evidence, what you respond, everything, okay? Yalla, go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to clarify that we have some rules and regulations, then your question does not imply that, but I will just respond to his questions anyway out of kindness. Brother, you are asking me to respond to you on the topic of Tafsir Ibn Kathir. I just said to you that the Tafsir of Suyuti is not accepted because it is not from the first three generations. Then you come to me and ask me again about Tafsir Ibn Kathir, but brother, you are well aware that this is also not a person from the first three generations. Now, it was a bit of a shame that I would have to go into that, but it is what it is. Now I will continue with the rest of the items. Up until now, I have not seen any clear evidences, and it is up to the claimant to provide any evidences. Instead, you are asking me to provide you with evidences, while my job in this debate is to just reject your claims with my claims. Now, you should provide clear evidences to substantiate the claim that Abu Bakr acted out of malice, deviation, or personal interest in the case of Fadak. Abu Bakr, on the other hand, is known for his unparalleled piety and commitment to justice. The Quran describes the companions of the Prophet ﷺ in Surah At-Tawbah, that is chapter 9, verse 100, and the first forerunners among the Muhajirin and the Ansar are those who follow them with good conduct. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with him. Abu Bakr did not personally benefit from the decision regarding Fadak. His actions were based on the earlier mentioned mutawatir hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We, the Prophets, do not leave inheritance. Whatever we leave behind is charity. I have already given you the chains of narration. I have given you all of the proofs regarding its status. I'm not going to do that again. Where is the evidence, however, that Abu Bakr deviated from this instruction of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Without such evidence, the claim of unjust seizure is baseless. Now, Abu Bakr did not act alone in the matter of Fadak. The Sahaba, including Umar ibn al-Khattab, agreed with this decision. The consensus reflects their collective understanding of Sharia and the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no record of the Sahaba publicly disputing Abu Bakr's decision, which indicates their acceptance of its validity. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam furthermore said in Sunnah at-Tirmidhi, Hadith 2167, "My ummah will never agree upon misguidance, but I know that you Shia have a big problem with this." The chain of narration is through Imam at-Tirmidhi to Ibn Abi Umar, to Sufyan ibn Uynayna, to Abdullah ibn Dinar, to Abdullah ibn Umar. The consensus of the Sahaba serves as a powerful testimony to the correctness of Abu Bakr's actions regarding Fadak. During Umar ibn al-Khattab's caliphate, Fadak continued to be managed as a sadaqah in line with the Prophet ﷺ instruction. Umar designated its income for the benefit of the community, including orphans, widows, and travelers. This consistent treatment of Fadak as a public trust across multiple caliphs demonstrates that it was never regarded as private property or inheritance. Under Uthman ibn Affan, Fadak remained a public endowment. This continuity affirms that the understanding and implementation of the Prophet ﷺ's instruction were upheld by subsequent righteous caliphs. Where is
1
the
minute
historical
left.
evidence of deviation or injustice by these leaders, all of whom were recognized for their piety and adherence to the Sharia? The absence of such evidence reinforces that Fadak was never wrongfully seized. To summarize, the claimant has yet to provide any evidence of malice or deviation in Abu Bakr's actions. The consensus of the Sahaba supports the decision regarding Fadak, reflecting a shared understanding of the Sharia, and the consistent treatment of Fadak as a sadaqah under the caliphates of Umar and Uthman underscores the legitimacy of Abu Bakr's initial decision. Thus, the claim of unjust seizure is without basis. I now invite the claimant to address these points with evidence that meets the agreed upon standards of the debate.
Okay, so you failed to answer my question. I said to you, which tafsir was written by the first 3 generations? You didn't answer that question. I said, prove to me that the Prophet didn't give Fadak to Fatima. You didn't answer that question. I said, show me.
Hold on, Syed. Hold on, Syed. Give me supermod with the comments because I want to do something.
Okay,
Supermod
just
in the
pause the timing for a second and then I'll see how to do that. 1 second.
Yeah, just give me supermod.
Okay, give me 1 second. So
I'm sorry,
moderate,
Deniz.
add, and then
Okay, done.
no, I'm doing it now. 1 second. Add, and then manage.
Yeah, just tap my, yeah, good. Khalas,
Right
done.
now?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah,
shall I
go
carry
ahead.
on?
You have 5 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, bismillah. Okay, so as I said, he didn't prove to me that. I said to him, which tafsir was written by the first 3 generations? He didn't give me that. Because he said we can only accept from the first 3 generations, right? So there's his first avoiding of the question. Second, he said, I gave no evidence, I gave 5 sources. So there's his second lie. Then he says, oh, Umar also did the same thing. Who cares what Umar did? Umar isn't a point of discussion. And trust me, you do not want to bring Umar into this discussion, because if you will, I will rip Umar apart. Okay? So let's not go down that road. I don't care whether Umar agreed with Abu Bakr or whether he disagreed with Abu Bakr. It doesn't make a difference to me. Umar is not consensus. You mentioned Quran chapter 9 verse 100. I'll come to that in a moment. But I'm going to ask you these questions again. I said to you, show me which scholar wrote the tafsir from the first 3 generations. I'm waiting for that. You didn't reply to the mutawatir point. You said that the Prophet said all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah, is mutawatir. You need to show me how it's mutawatir, which you haven't done. Then you also said that chapter 9 verse 100 mentions Abu Bakr. There's your second lie. Third lie, actually. Do you know why? Because if you look at chapter 9 verse 100, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He says, Minal muhajirin, from amongst the muhajir. Allah is pleased with some of them and they're pleased with Allah. That doesn't mean it's all of them. Abu Bakr is not included in the awwalun of the muhajirun. So Abu Bakr isn't in this. And that's a separate discussion. Why are you deviating? Why are you mentioning chapter 9, verse 100 when I can show you Abu Bakr has been mentioned in the Quran in chapter 9, verse 101, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to his prophet, Ya Rasulullah, within Ahlul Medina, around you are believers who are munafiq. You don't know them, but I know them, and they have peaked in their hypocrisy, and their punishment is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Bakr is a munafiq mentioned in 9:101, but you brought this up, not me. So that's on you, not me. So Allah is pleased with the Muhajirin and the Ansar. So can you show me a tafsir from the early generations that Abu Bakr is included in chapter 9, verse 100 from As-Sabiquna min al-Awwaluna min al-Muhajirin wal Ansar? Can you show me that? That's all I want to know. So, just to reiterate my questions, I proved to you that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet. You said you wanted it from the first 3 generations. Ibn Abbas is who? Tera chache da munda? Who's Ibn Abbas? Is he not from the first generation? Is Ibn Abbas not from amongst those who were with the Prophet? So Ibn Abbas is from the first generation. He's testifying that when chapter 17 verse 26 was revealed, the Prophet gifted Fadak to the daughter or to his daughter. That alone is enough evidence from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and from Ibn Abbas that the Prophet gifted this land to his daughter, yet you are not accepting that. You want it from the first 3 generations. Ibn Abbas is who? 10th generation? So again, I'm going to reiterate my questions and then he can come on. Number 1. Show me that the Prophet said all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah is mutawatir. Point 1. Point 2. Ibn Abbas said that land was gifted to Fatima. Come and refute Ibn Abbas. Point 3. Which tafsir was written by the first 3 generations? Point 4. You said I gave no evidence. I gave you 5. Point 6. Chapter 9 verse 100. Show me from the first 3 generations that Abu Bakr is included in chapter 9 verse 100. And point 5, nobody cares what Umar did with Fadak. Umar is irrelevant in this discussion. So Bibi Fatima salamullahi alayha believed that this hadith of Abu Bakr, that the Prophet said that whatever we leave is sadaqah, is a lie. Az-Zahra said it's a lie. So it doesn't matter whether Umar agrees with Abu Bakr or not. Time's up?
1 minute left.
Okay, 1 minute. Yeah, that's it. So I want all this. Brother Ayman, I've listed all the things that I want. I want him to answer all these questions for me. And if he says anything else, if he deters from the point, if he doesn't answer any of the questions that I asked, then he's violated the terms and conditions of the agreement because he hasn't answered or refuted any of my claims. Okay, so that's how I'm going to go about it now. If you're going to say this, so prove to me from chapter 9 verse 100 tafsir from the first 3 generations, and also tell me which first 3 generations actually wrote a tafsir, please, because I'd love to see this. That's it, I'm done. Aja puttar.
Take your time. Now you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Now, to get back to the question about the tafsir written by the first 3 generations, then I did not imply that any was written. However, in the contract we have agreed upon, it is mentioned, and if you claim that you cannot work with these conditions, then you should have said that earlier. Now, actually, the debate is over, and the claimant has conceded because he claimed that Abu Bakr is a munafiq, and under Article 21 of the conditions, both debaters shall not curse individuals whose righteousness they disagree upon. However, for the sake of argument, I'm going to continue just because it is the final slot anyway. Now, I would like to conclude this discussion by summarizing my position and addressing any doubts raised, and calling for objectivity in assessing the evidence presented. I have demonstrated through a mutawatir hadith, which I have mentioned the chains of earlier, so it is not my problem that you didn't write it down, that the Prophet ﷺ has explicitly stated that we, the Prophets, do not leave inheritance. Whatever we leave behind is charity. This hadith, recorded in Bukhari and Muslim, establishes a specific ruling that distinguishes prophets from ordinary Muslims with regards to inheritance laws. After that, I have provided you evidence that Fadak was never treated as a personal property or inheritance. Instead, that it was managed as a public trust for the benefit of the Ummah. This principle was implemented by Abu Bakr and then followed by the subsequent caliphs. If the claimant asserts that Fadak was unjustly seized, he must provide a clear, authentic evidence to support his claim. However, no valid evidence has been presented that meets the agreed upon standards of authenticity and accuracy. The narrative cited by the claimant They must be examined for their chain and contract, but without any acceptance of him in the points in the contract, these cannot be taken as such. Also, the claimant has failed to explain why the Sahaba, known for their commitment to truth and justice, unanimously accepted Abu Bakr's decision if it was unjust. The silence from the companions speaks volumes about the legitimacy of his actions. As we now conclude the debate, I invite the audience to focus on the authentic and universally accepted sources that form the foundation of jurisprudence. What we have seen now today from the claimant is just personal emotions, bias, or sectarian perspectives, but this must, of course, not cloud our judgment. Allah commands us in the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse 135, O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm in justice, witness for Allah, even if it be against yourself, your parents, or relatives. The truth about Fadak lies in adhering to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the collective understanding of the first 3 generations of our Ummah. In light of the discussion, I urge the claimant to reconsider his position and reflect upon the evidences that support our understanding of Fadak. Let us not divide ourselves over issues where the truth has already been established through authentic and agreed upon sources. May Allah guide us all in what is true and just, and may He unite us upon the path of Haqq, the path of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions.
We still have 1 minute. You still have 1 minute, bro. Where's the answer? Do you have the answer?
I am ready. I have answered.
Okay.
I asked you
continue.
5 questions, you didn't answer a single one. 94 people are witness to this. He's trying to run away now by saying that the debate is finished, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you now that I asked him the first question, show me that the Prophet said all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah. But it wasn't sadaqah. Fadak isn't sadaqah. Who said Fadak was sadaqah? I just proved to you from Ibn Abbas that the Prophet gave the land of Fadak to Fatima during his lifetime. So Fadak doesn't come under sadaqah. It doesn't come under personal property of the Prophet that he left to the Ummah. Therefore, your whole argument that the prophets don't leave inheritance is by... And who mentioned inheritance? Again, you're jumping the gun. I know you've never debated before, Deniz, and I know this is a new field for you, but nobody mentioned inheritance. Where did inheritance come from? Again, I didn't say that Fadak was inheritance. If you want to debate inheritance, we can do that, but that's not the point here. You asked me to prove that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet. I showed you Ibn Abbas and Abu Sa'id al-Khudri testifying that Fadak was gifted to Fatima salamullah alayha during the Prophet's lifetime. And then I said to you, all things left by the Prophet is sadaqah. Give me the references. You keep blabbing the same stuff. Oh yeah, it's in Bukhari. It's not my fault you didn't write it down. No. If Abu Bakr is the only narrator of a hadith, that doesn't make the hadith mutawatir. Understand the laws of ilm al-diraya and go educate yourself on how a hadith works. Then I said to you, which tafsir was written by the first 3 generations? He said none. So guys, have you noticed, he said within his conditions that the tafsirs that I have to provide have to be from the first 3 generations. And then I asked him, okay, so which one of the first 3 generations wrote a tafsir? He said none of them did. So he wants me to provide him a tafsir of the first 3 generations of those who never even wrote a tafsir. Subhanallah. Maybe, your head may be spinning in circles, but clearly you don't know what you're talking about. And then I said to you, in the Quran, in chapter 9, verse 100, Abu Bakr, you said was mentioned within Min al-Muhajirin. I said, give me the proof. He ignored that. So as you can see, guys, he hasn't answered a single question. He asked me one question. Proof Fadak was gifted to a Zahra salamullahi alayha, and I did that. He asked me one question, I proved it. Then instead of looking at the 5 references that I gave him, he started waffling on about chapter 9, verse 100, and Umar, and this and that. And I don't know why he's waffling, but clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I asked you 5 questions, you haven't answered a single question. Fadak is not inheritance. Fadak is not sadaqah. Fadak was given to a Zahra salamullahi alayha during the Prophet's lifetime. Therefore, it's her personal property. So whether you want to accept the hadith is mutawatir or not, that the Prophet said that we prophets don't leave inheritance, whatever we leave is sadaqah, let's go with that notion. Fadak doesn't come under that notion anyway. Fadak is the personal property of the daughter of the Prophet. And then he said to me that I called Umar a munafiq and therefore I insulted him. Well, then here's a question. If calling someone a munafiq is an insult, then why is it that Umar asked Hudayfa al-Yamani that at the time of Uqba or at Uqaba, am I a munafiq? So Umar asked Hudayfa al-Yamani because the Prophet mentioned to Hudayfa there are 12 munafiqun. 12 of them are munafiqs. Umar went up to him and said, am I one of them? So what, is Umar insulting himself by asking Hudayfa al-Yamani, am I a munafiq? Then the fact that there's a hadith within Bukhari that Fatima salamullahi alayha became angry at Abu Bakr by not giving her fadak, and she died angry at him and never spoke to him again and refused to allow him to enter her funeral and left this world angry and said to him, I will complain to my father. And we all know the famous hadith in Bukhari where the Prophet said, Fatima bad'atun minni, man ardaha faqad ardani. Fatima is a part of me. He who pleases her has pleased me. Whoever angers her has angered me. Abu Bakr within Bukhari angered the daughter of the Prophet. Therefore Abu Bakr angered the Prophet, therefore Abu Bakr angered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, therefore Abu Bakr is going to hell. And if you want to discuss inheritance, I can prove to you from the Quran that prophets leave inheritance. You're bringing me a narration that Abu Bakr is saying prophets don't leave inheritance. I can show you 6 prophets in the Quran that left and received inheritance. Who weighs more? The word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the Quran or Abu Bakr's lie? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in the Quran, وَوَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ دَاوُد, and Solomon inherited David. Look at the tafsir, it tells you he inherited wealth and money and a kingdom. In Surah Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse 5 and 6 says what? مِن لَدُنْكَ وَلِيٌّ يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ أَهْلِ يَعْقُوبَ. Nabi Zakaria said, oh Allah, give me a son who will inherit me and who will inherit the children of Yaqub. Zakaria, prophet. Yahya, prophet. Yaqub, prophet. Yusuf, prophet. Suleiman, prophet. Dawood, prophet. 6 prophets here within the Holy Quran is stating that they are leaving inheritance and they are receiving inheritance. And you're telling me that Abu Bakr is saying that the prophet said we don't leave inheritance? So what are we going to do? Are we going to take Abu Bakr's word for it, or are we going to take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's word for it in the 2 verses of the Quran that I just quoted for you? وَوَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ دَاوُد and مِن لَدُنْكَ وَلِيٌّ يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ أَهْلِ يَعْقُوبَ. And also the only narrator, guys, the only narrator of this hadith that the Prophet said supposedly that we prophets don't leave inheritance is Abu Bakr. No one else has narrated it. Alhamdulillah, the Prophet had over 100,000 companions, and he took Abu Bakr to the room on the side and said, oh mera dost Urami, come here Abu Bakr. I'm going to give you something that nobody else is going to know. Ali ibn Abi Talib called Abu Bakr a liar, treacherous, dishonest, and sinful. Yeah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, according to you, maybe Abu Bakr is better than him. But Imam Ali said that Abu Bakr, regarding Fadak, was a liar, dishonest, treacherous, sinful. Az-Zahra said to Abu Bakr, is it fair that you inherit your father and I don't inherit mine? Abu Bakr said, the Prophet said we don't leave inheritance. Fatima said that's a lie. And in Khutbah Fadakiyah, she proved from the verses of the glorious Quran that Abu Bakr is a liar. That Abu Bakr is a liar. Now I asked you 5 questions. You either answer them or you dip and leave. Up to you, bro.
Now you have Deniz, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes and 40 seconds, okay? Bismillah.
I will take it. Thank you. Amen. Now look, I have noticed that you do not remember the conditions that we have agreed upon of a maximum of 4 slots. So I will just briefly answer some of your ridiculous claims. Apparently you also think that screaming will give you some more credibility, but this is obviously not the case. Because you are apparently forgetful and you forgot to write it down, then the hadith that I mentioned from Bukhari is not narrated from Abu Bakr, but it is narrated from Umar ibn al-Khattab. Secondarily, you keep yapping about your tafsir that you cannot quote, but again, as per the conditions of the debate, it is not my issue. Now, I would like to wish you a good evening, because the 4 slots that we have agreed upon have ended. You do not seem to understand that you are the claimant and you are the one that should bring me evidence, instead of me bringing you evidence for my position. You are the claimant, you bring your evidence, and I reject it with further evidence. I feel that I have done that sufficiently. I have refuted all of your claims as per the conditions of our contract, and that is sufficient for me. I'm now going to do something else with my time because I see that this is pointless. Have a nice evening.
You're going to run away now, yeah?
No, we have had 4 time slots. We have had 4 time slots. Article 10 of the contract.
He failed to answer all 4 of my questions.
Slots.
He wasn't able to prove inheritance. I just showed him from the Quran that inheritance was allowed, and now he's going to run away. He's going to run away, Ayman.
Okay.
So, Mr. Moderator.
Brother Deniz, just take, listen, Deniz, stick on the topic. Don't go anywhere. Please.
No, I'm not just Mr. Moderator, because the
questions.
Don't worry. Okay.
Ayman, ask him if he answered any of my questions. I asked him 5 questions.
If he doesn't, listen, Syed, if he will not respond to your question, it doesn't mean khalas. He doesn't want to. He can't. He
He can't
can't
answer the
respond.
question. He lost the debate.
Look,
Khalas.
Yeah, okay,
He couldn't
that's
prove
okay,
Abu
bro.
Bakr was in
Look,
900.
Ayman. Look,
Sayyid,
The Quran
please,
counters
Sayyid,
the
please,
hadith of
Sayyid.
his Abu Bakr.
look, Ayman. If you mute him now, or I go.
No. Sayyid, please respect the time. If you're gonna, I'm gonna reset your time. Okay, 5 minutes again. Yalla.
Look, I don't know why you are suddenly the moderator, but I will just explain you something. We
bro.
have no, wait.
Go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
We have conditions which we have agreed upon. Now the brother here doesn't want to keep the conditions. I already knew this beforehand, so I have them printed in front of me, and the conditions are clear that we have 4 time slots. The way how we would quote any evidences, he has sufficiently not. I have not from him heard any chain of hadith that he mentioned. He fails to produce this also in the conditions. Now, for me, it seems to be a waste of time to continue arguing someone who is just going to scream in the microphone. I have given you four times,
Focus on the topic,
5 minutes.
Focus on the topic. He asked you that's a question. He responded to all your questions, bro.
I have answered every one of his questions.
Your time is stopped right now. He responded to all your questions. Please focus on the same topic and respond to his
He hasn't
questions.
answered a single
Please.
question, brother. What kind of debate is this?
Yeah,
I asked the
yeah.
question.
He
He
answered to
ignores
all
it.
your
He
questions.
asked the question, I
Give me
answer it.
supermarket, Syed. Yeah, Syed. Okay,
I
bro.
did, didn't I,
Mute
brother?
yourself, Syed. Yeah, you did. You did. Everybody knows that. So give me supermarket. Let me bribe Sister Flowing, please. You can help me. Give me supermarket. Syed.
I did give it to you, didn't I? How else am I supposed to do it? I went into settings.
Supermarket.
I went into,
Bring Sister.
You know,
into
guys,
settings.
I think that this is not very professional. I have answered everything.
No.
You ain't
hold on.
Yeah, according to the rules and
answered anything.
regulations of the debate that we have agreed upon, you failed to produce any evidence, so I am now leaving this chat room. Have a nice evening. Bye
Bro,
bye.
he gave you all the evidence. What's wrong with you?
Bro, I swear to God, if he leaves, yeah, lanat on Umar, bro. There you go.
he
Subhanallah.
ran.
May Allah curse Umar ibn al-Khattab for this guy.
He
This
ran
is the
away. He
representative
ran
of
away.
the Sunnis. Sharam karo yaar, at what a representative hai. This is the guy representing your religion. I asked him 5 questions. He didn't answer a single question. He said that the Prophet said we don't leave inheritance. I showed him 2 verses of the Quran where the Prophets have left inheritance. So what do you take, Quran or do you take Hadith? He asked one question to me. Prove to me that Fadak was gifted to the daughter of the Prophet. I proved it. I proved it straight away. I gave him 5 Sunni references of the tafsir of the Quran. What did he do? I want it from the first 3 generations. Okay, which first 3 generations wrote Quran? No one. So how am I supposed to give you something that doesn't exist?
He left Sayyidina. Sayyidina Maulana, he left.
Of course he was going. I guaranteed you he was going to leave, man. I told you he was going to leave before he even joined.
Yeah.
I
told you.
The head
I
starts.
told you.
I legged it.
He chose the wrong person.